It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News on this, the 10th day of September. Couple things to point out before we get to a couple news stories. Not a whole lot this morning, but a few. One, all you guys with the birthday wishes yesterday, I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Had a great day. We brought in a steak dinner from the Liberty train station in Bedford last night. So we had a lovely dinner here at the farm and celebrated my 71st. So the way I count things, I am now 72. I'm in my 72nd year. So that's just the way I do it. But anyway, again, thank you for all you guys. Now, and I have to be perfectly honest with you folks, I'm almost didn't make it today. I was sitting here about, 3 minutes ago, actually working on the website. I was adding on a Carnival cruise from Galveston on the breeze, a four-nighter that I don't have on the website. It's about 90% on the website now. But anyway, one of the changes coming up in the Carnival plan of attack. But anyway, there was a gnat, a gnat flying around. And it flew right past my glasses. And I took a swat at it with, I guess it was with this hand, trying to nail the little thing. No, it was with this hand. Tried to nail the little thing. And as I swatted past, I hit my glasses with my hand, which jammed the glasses into my nose. And I kind of let loose with an oath, not a particularly complimentary oath. My glasses flew across the room. The cats, who just happened to both be in here, took off like a bolt of lightning. Not only did I knock the glasses into my nose and off my head and across the room, I managed to hit myself in the face. So you're lucky that I'm here. So, all right, guys. So much for silliness. And unfortunately, that's a true story. Couple things to point out. Tomorrow, Friday, at this time, 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is, what is that in London time? 4 p.m. London time. Our guest on the Cruise Amigos Live from Virginia is going to be Dr. Kent Grant, who's managing director of Scotland's Majestic Line. He's also a well-known epidemiologist. So that's going to make for an interesting show. Not only are we going to talk about the Scottish line, and by the way, if any of you follow Dave Monk, Dave was on one of their ships this week and has shared some pictures and so forth on his pages. But at any rate, we're going to talk with Dr. Ken Grant about the Majestic Line and the itineraries around northern Scotland and the Hebrides area. And also, because he's an epidemiologist, we're going to talk about, obviously his readiness on his ships, but also the overall situation, both in Europe and the United States, as he sees it as an epidemiologist. So that will tie in with one of the stories on down the line. Then on Sunday, we're going to go up and visit our friend, John Reitmeyer. John's up in Crookston, Minnesota, and he has arranged for an interview on Sunday with Greg Hinham of Sportsman Lodges, which is up in Baudette, Minnesota. Of course, they're getting ready to go into the season. This is obviously not going to be a cruises show. This is a sportsman's fisherman kind of getaway place where they have some awesome fishing up there. So it's going to be a travel show. We're going to talk about travel as opposed to talking about cruises on Sunday from up in Minnesota. So a little bit different change of pace for you. So looking forward to that with Brother John up in Minnesota on Sunday. I'll be at 3:00 my time, which is 8:00 London time. So don't forget, we got Cruise Amigos live from Virginia on tomorrow, this time, 11 a.m. And then 3 p.m. this time, Eastern Daylight Time from up in Minnesota on Sunday. I think it's at 3. John might have said something about a different time. I'll have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure it's at 3:00. So, all right, the top story today, and they're kind of tied together, but the Bahamas, as you know, they had approved, opened up for tourism, and then shut back down when things started spiking like crazy. And then they started getting things under control in the Bahamas again. They shut the United States down totally. You cannot fly into the Bahamas. You cannot sail into the Bahamas. You cannot enter the Bahamas if you're from the United States until we get things under control in this country. They have begun cautiously reopening to tourism again in the Bahamas, but cruise ships are going to have to wait. Phase 3 of their reopening is set for October 15th. And this is part of their Tourism Readiness and Recovery Plan, which will include reopening of beaches and major hotels. Of course, the Bahamas wants to capture tourism ahead of the holiday season because it's, they've gotten killed economy-wise. More than 50% of their GDP comes from tourism. 60% of their employment comes from tourism. Cruise lines have also obviously been a major portion of that, with the major cruise lines going to both Nassau and Freeport, and then the private islands like Half Moon Cay is Carnival's, and Castaway Cay, that's Disney's, and of course the Perfect Day at Coco Cay, which is Royal Caribbean's, and others. So, MSC has just opened, their private island there. So the cruise industry is crucial to their recovery. However, they're not going to include cruise ships until phase 4. Now, currently, because basically all the cruise lines in the United States have agreed not to sail to November 1st. So that's the absolute earliest the Bahamas will could possibly lift the ban on cruise ships. However, they're saying the date for phase 4 in the Bahamas will be announced toward the end of the year. Now, toward the end of the year, when it's not going to be until November 1st at the earliest, tells me that perhaps Bahamas is not going to make a change until next year at this point, and that's assuming things start getting better in the United States. We're on their no to-do list, and you can't get there. So assuming that gets changed, and that can't get changed until we get the handle on the situation here at home, better handle than we have now. So we're just going to have to wait and see, folks. But just their wording on that tells me that, while I hope the Bahamas will open in November, because let's face it, folks, the first ships that are going to sail in the United States are pretty much have to go to the Bahamas. They have to go someplace. And so any of the Florida ports are going to hit the Bahamas one way or another. I mean, there are other destinations you can go out of Miami and Fort Lauderdale, Port Canaveral without going to the Bahamas, but it's just unlikely that that's going to happen. So who knows? I'm hoping, I still have hopes of things getting going, but I'm really concerned that we're going to see anything this year. I'm thinking we're going to be well into next year, as much as I don't want to see it that way, but I just don't see things getting turned around that quickly in the majority of the United States. Just my thoughts. So we'll have to wait and see on that, but at least the Bahamas are moving in the right direction. And come October are going to be reopening some of the major hotels and stuff, even though at this time, United States folks can't go there. But other folks from around the world can, and perhaps that will change. So, weather. All right, this is going to be kind of a little on the screwy side this morning, folks. I'll tell you right up front. And it was really amazing from when I started looking at this morning until, say, about 5 o'clock. And then the 8 o'clock update came out and it all changed. Now, let's start over here near the United States. See the little 3 yellow X's? The one right off the coast of North Carolina, that's 94L. That's what's bringing the rain yesterday, basically up the 95 corridor. We didn't get much of it this far inland, but the 95 corridor, basically up the whole coast, including Florida, had some heavy rain on up into New York and New England. So basically the 95 corridor got hit hard yesterday. I didn't have much here. We had a little bit of rain and, it was ugly looking, but not much. Today we're supposed to get more inland a little further than the 95 corridor, and the 95 corridor again is going to get smacked. So there's going to be rains all up and down the East Coast. And of course, you guys in Florida are already getting some, which is a combination of 94L and then 2 other systems that are down in Florida. You've got one that's just west of the mainland part of Florida. Now, this does not have a number yet. And then you got one that's just east of the Bahamas. And between those two, and these are both expected to go into the Gulf, okay, and cause pretty much heavy rain, probably go straight across the Gulf into Texas and cause rain all up and down the Gulf Coast into Texas. And it's going to be spotty, heavy rain at times, through the weekend. In the meantime, we're going to have rain up and down the East Coast the whole time. Now, out to sea, you've got the 2 named storms, which are still buzzing around. Paulette, which is expected to weaken some today and then re-strengthen. Currently, as of the 11 o'clock, just before we came on the air, 50 miles an hour, 998 millibars, so that's dropped a little bit. It's speeding up some. It's moving now at west-northwest at 10 miles an hour. Now, that is, either one or the other of these could end up heading toward Bermuda. So you guys in Bermuda, you need to be aware that it's out there and could come your way. There's all kinds of possibilities on what these 2 suckers are going to do. Renee, on the other hand, as of 11 o'clock, sustained winds 50 miles an hour. That's up. Pressure 1,000 millibars. It's moving at 12 miles an hour to the west-northwest. So they're both moving in the same general direction. At first, it was thought that they were just going to kind of hook around out there in the Atlantic and do nothing more than the shipping lanes. But now there's some of the models have either one or the other of those breaking off and heading to the south. So they're just not sure what's going to happen. The most likely scenario is Paulette is going to weaken through the day today and then regain strength again and could possibly become a hurricane as it approaches Bermuda. That's the most likely scenario. The two of them could, a couple of the models show that the two systems end up joining forces when then it would become a heavier storm. They're not expecting either one of them to have, they're not, at least at this point, supposed to really impact land much unless you got some at Bermuda. Now, on the coast of Africa, the little orange across that you got there, that's a new system and it will become 95L probably before the day's over with. This sucker has a like 60% chance of development over the next 3 days. It's supposed to just roar straight across the Atlantic, go into the Caribbean, and this very likely is going to be our next hurricane, which will be the Sally, I think it is, the S storm. And it's going to head in all likelihood straight over in the normal trough going into the Gulf and possibly impact the United States. So this one we got to watch, and there's one right behind that that's kind of a little closer to Central Africa that's going to be coming along right after this one. Remember, today is the significant heart of the hurricane season. We still have 57% of the hurricane season left, but today is considered the heart of the season. And so we can still have a lot of weather ahead of us, folks. But anyway, this in all probability, the bad storm is the one that's on the coast of Africa right now. The one coming behind it, not so much. So that takes care of your weather update for today. Boy, I'm getting sick and tired of weather too. I'll be glad when that's over. I really am. The other story this morning has to do with Carnival has announced 2 world cruises for 22. One is going to be the Princess Cruise Lines. My mind went blank on the ship. I just noticed that that's the Island Princess in the picture. It's not the Island Princess, the Coral Princess. The Coral Princess is the ship that's going to be on the World Cruise for 2022. It's going to sail from Australia, 3 spots, Sydney, Brisbane, and Auckland, New Zealand. 107-day cruise featuring 43 destinations, 27 countries, and 6 continents. And also the other Carnival Cruise Line ship is going to be the Queen Mary II from Cunard. It's going to sail from New York on its world journey on January the 3rd, 2022, returns May the 1st. And it's got, the same, fabulous stops all around the world. So, man, if you want the bucket list, once in a lifetime, do a around the world cruise coming up in 2022. I don't know if I'll ever have enough time to do one of those, but it would be nice. I wouldn't have any problem at all with being on a ship for 5 months. Especially with all those stops. I think that'd be fabulous. Of course, affording it, that's another story, but we'll see. All right, that's it from the news this morning. Let's go over and see who's here. Like I say, there wasn't a whole lot of news today. All right, Tom Henry's with us. Tom, you're probably getting some rain. If you're not getting it right now, you're going to get it soon over in Richmond. Gretchen's with us. Amy's here. Good morning, Amy. Nikki's with us. Emily, I bet Emily's getting some rain up there in New York too. If not, you got some coming at you. So Tom's waiting for a nosebleed. It came close. It came close because I smacked the glasses and smacked myself in the head. I'm sure it looked funny as hell. Scared the crap out of the cats. We may never see them again. And Nikki says, or a black eye. No, I haven't seen any black eyes yet. So, yeah, that was graceful and real graceful. And I still didn't get the damn gnat. He's still flying around. Surprised I hadn't swung at him again. Tom says, how do you feel about this, Chillie? The recent cruise called off for DJ having a positive. How about just isolate one person and continue to cruise? I saw that. I'm surprised that they packed it back in and caused the whole cruise off. I'm like you. You got one person, isolate them. Oh, that was the other thing I didn't talk about this morning was I talked to Norwegian. A lot of you guys have asked about it because Tom was one of them. Kept not getting the updates you were expecting on cruises in August. So I reached out to Norwegian to say, hey, what's going on with this? Some of my viewers have got stuff booked and want to know, are you going to sail or not going to sail? So here's what the Norwegian folks told me. Is basically the voluntary suspension is in place until the 31st of October. And I quote, Norwegian is committed to sharing additional known suspensions at the end of each month. In August, there were no further voyage suspensions to announce. We continue to evaluate the situation and will provide updates as available. So that tells me they're still thinking that they might sail in November. There's not anything that's at this point that says they can't. There's still the problems that they may have with folks getting to the ship safely is one of the things. But to me, and coupling with the carnival wording, last week or so with the brand ambassador saying that he's extremely hopeful that they'll be sailing before the end of the year. That language is a little better than it's been. Of course, MSC has sailed successfully. Costa has sailed. I have not heard anything on the Costa ship yet. So as far as I know, they're doing okay. Several of the other small brands are sailing and have sailed successfully. Majestic, that we're going to talk to tomorrow, they've been sailing for several cruises now with no problems. They're very small, of course. You're not talking about thousands of people. So it's much easier for them to control. But anyway, so that's what Norwegians tell me. The reason Tom and some of you guys haven't gotten notifications that you were expecting to get is because I think they're still hoping to sail in November. And maybe Tom, your cruise that's scheduled that first week in November, maybe that becomes a test like MSC and Costa. I don't know. You still got to deal with the CDC, so we don't, they've got to go along with this. But Norwegian at this point is holding pat. They're not saying things are going to, and now, you might get an email from them in 5 minutes changing that. But right now, as far as I've been able to ascertain from the folks that I can talk to in Norwegian, they still hope to go. So that's an update on that one. All right. Let's see. Sonny's with us. Hey, Sonny, good to see you this morning. Everybody loved Emily's kayaking photos, and I keep saying I'm going to get with Emily. Maybe now that I've gotten several other things ironed out, Emily, I can get with you and we'll do a chat on your kayaking adventures. As long as I can show the picture of you trying to drown yourself with the kayak flipping over your head. Well, it didn't flip over your head. Anyway, we have all enjoyed Emily's kayaking pictures, so we're gonna do a chat on that soon. I promise, soon. Did you see the cruise law news post about plane pollution versus cruise ship? Seems to me if ships are 3 times as much pollution, that's not so bad considered they carry many more passengers. Well, Tom, I don't have particularly fond feelings of cruise law news. I know the cruise industry has made significant strides in improving the pollution that they put out. One of the reasons you're seeing a lot of the older ships going now is they were the biggest polluters of them all, because when they were made, they just didn't build things efficiently. They didn't know or even try to be environmentally sound like they are today. Yeah, you're right on the one hand that comparing the number of people on a cruise ship as opposed to on an airplane, yes. However, I see the cruise industry as having made a lot more strides than the airline industry on curbing the pollution. And I know that one would be met with a lot of flack from environmentalists, but that's the way I see it, the way I feel about it. And I come from a reasonably liberal family. I'm more liberal than a lot of folks, but I still have, financially, I'm fairly conservative, at least moderate. And I do back some of the more liberal causes, and protecting the environment is clearly one of them. But I do see that the cruise industry has done, I think, a good job in making improvements in that area. Tom says the amount per passenger is much lower. I agree. And I think there's good reason for that. Sonny says hello to everybody. Many more planes polluting than ships. Yeah, when they're flying, clearly that's true. Come on, Elon. We need electric cruise ships. Yeah. Can you imagine a charging station for that sucker out in the middle of the ocean? Well, that'd take a big damn extension cord. Yeah. Let's see. Amy says, I tend to agree with you, Tom. The virus is not just going to go away. Getting it under control doesn't mean that it's going to be eradicated completely. I think, we're going to have to deal with this in one form or another for a long time. I really do. Until, it's just gone totally, and that's not going to happen, I don't think, for years. So yeah, I think we're going to be dealing with this. So, part of their protocols need to be, if somebody should get sick after they pass the protocols to get on the ships. I am totally in favor of that. I totally want to see the right kind of testing, so that we all have the biggest chance of being safe getting on a cruise ship in place. But I disagree with the fact that they turned around and went back and canceled the cruise over one person. Yeah, no, they need to do better with that. I think so. And of course, I don't have all the facts on that. I'm just going like you guys on what we've heard. So, Windstar can now become the Solar Star Cruises. Big solar panels. Yeah, make solar panels into sails, and use the solar panels to not only power the cruise ships, but to steer the sailboats. Yeah, that would be cool. Jason's with us. Hey, Jason, how you doing? Jason's another one that's got, his cruise has been moved to January, the first week of January now. And I'm hoping that I'm totally wrong on that. I'm hoping Jason gets to sail too. We all know that. So I don't know. It's just, I wish there was an answer, folks. There's just not at this point. We just don't have the answers we all need and want to see, to really have a handle on what direction we're going for next year. And how long we're going to be tied down. How long am I going to be stuck in the house? If somebody says, well, if you can go out and go to restaurants, and no, I can't. Not when you got people that still aren't social distancing and aren't masking. And you're in a household with three of us of, in that age category with the health issues as well. We can't. I said no to going to the family dinner this weekend. And, our feeling on it here, and I did talk with my sister and brother-in-law about it, and of course my niece, but primarily my sister and brother-in-law. And basically we have been in total control of our environment for 6 months. We're doing that to keep the three of us have the best chance of staying healthy. If we go to a dinner with folks that have traveled across the country, we have no idea what they've done, where they've gone, if they've gone into restaurants, if they've gone into filling stations, if they've gone into service stations, we don't know. And at the absolute best, we would be walking into an environment that we have no control over, and that puts us at risk, and we're not going to do it. So I called off on going to the family dinner Sunday night. And I hate to do it. I'd love to see the family that's coming through town. So I haven't seen them for several years now, but we just can't do it. We can't take that chance. So Tom asked Jason if there's news on his cruise. Yep. And Emily says it didn't rain yesterday, but this morning it is, and it's humid outside. You're gonna, if you didn't get it yesterday, you're gonna get it today. Yeah, yesterday there's places in New York that got some pretty substantial rain, basically straight up the 95 corridor, and it's going to be that way today too. So you got some coming at you, Emily. Tom Henry, Jason says he's optimistic. Looks like you can still book it. Yeah, I wish I could. Yeah, I'm putting all my eggs in the European basket for next fall, and now Europe's having some troubles. They've got to get their act back together. The United States got to get our act back together so we're accepted in Europe again. So there's still a lot to happen in the next year. Of course, it's going to be in the next 10 months or so till we have to come up to the date where we got to decide what's going on. So we got a long way to go before I can safely go to Europe, as I'm planning on in next October. Well, we'll see. Tom says somebody from TWB messaged me wanting me to join someone's group cruise I never heard of on a 50th anniversary Carnival cruise in 2022. How do I politely say sorry, no Carnival? You say sorry, no Carnival. If Tom, I'd go on the Carnival 50th anniversary cruise, as I know Jason would. In a heartbeat. Of course, I like Carnival. I've been a Carnival guy for years. Of all the cruises I've been on, 80% of them were Carnival, something like that. Because for 25 years, that's all I did was selling Carnival. I didn't sell anybody else. Now, I'm trying to expand my horizons, and I've done a few more, and have a few that I want to do. But Jason and I we'd love the hell out of being on the 50th anniversary cruise. No doubt about that one. If the storm, Nikki says, if the storms merged, would it be called Riet or Paul Nee? That's a good question. I don't know. Riet. I like Riet. Paul Nee. Yeah, Riet. Let's call it Riet if they merge. That's a good one, Nick. Tom was listening to Tuesday's show as he drove back. He got up here with the turn off on the road. He could have come over here and visited with me on his way home from Florida. Interesting that he was listening to me on the show while he was driving up. I do appreciate that. He was tempted to take the exit to Lynchburg and look me up. You could have come on. I'd let you get in the swimming pool, take a dip. Let's see. Amy says, how could you leave your precious kitties for so long to go on a world cruise? Yeah, well, the kitties would be well taken care of. I tell you what, the cats, even though basically, I had the animals, up here. I had Max the dog. I got to do things opposite. Max the dog and Brett the cat. They were both my animals. They were mine, no doubt about it. The kittens have more adopted Amanda and my sister. We had a dog that came into the household. This was been a number of years ago. In fact, that was before Max. Yum Yum, which is our little Shih Tzu that I rescued from the Stanton, Virginia animal shelter. I rescued it up there and brought it home. It was going to be my dog, and he took up with my sister, and he never did take up with me. So the animals are funny. The kittens tend to be more Amanda's and mine, although they do come in here. Now, I was a little later getting up than normal this morning. I'm normally up in the middle of the night like an idiot, but being up yesterday, and we did an interview with Dr. Grant for tomorrow's show. Pete and I did at 4 a.m. our time yesterday morning. So not only was I up then, but I had to be up and thinking enough to be able to function. So I was already on my third cup of coffee by the time 4 a.m. rolled around. I ended up sleeping in a little later today than normal. And Sharman that came in and woke me up. He says, "Oh, dude, this isn't right. You got to get up." So, they do come in here and they do come around some, but still they tend to be Amanda's and Jean's cats as opposed to mine. Tom Henry says, need any more cats? My aunt passed away on Monday at 94. Oh, sorry to hear that. But her daughter will be 70 and feeds an army of cats. About 9 are on the back deck and begging for dinner. Yeah, no, Tom, I don't need more. Thank you. Just the same. Two is plenty. What's about these two? Oh, God. They drive us nuts. They're just nuts. I don't remember the word known in the original message saying they would update monthly. Yeah, I know. It did say they were update monthly, but they didn't. So I find it interesting that they didn't give you an update. They didn't change anything, and they're back on resting on the laurel, saying we still hope. So I don't know. I could be reading the tea leaves all totally wrong. You might get an email today, but I generally the information I get out of Norwegian is pretty sound most of the time. My guy does a really good job of passing information on to me when it's needed and getting information when I've asked for it. I had a customer, not a customer, but one of our viewers that we don't see vocally like you guys are, that asked me a question on a procedural matter on the deposits that he was having trouble with. And I made a couple calls to Norwegian and he got taken care of. So I get some pretty good feedback from Norwegian on a generally. So this one's got me not stumped, but curious. Tom says my November 29th cruise departs New York. With New York not even having dining inside, I doubt cruise boarding is in the picture, plus the current 14-day isolation requirements. Yeah. And of course, that New York does change that. They change the isolation thing on where you come from, depending on how the other numbers go. So a lot of that might depend on how we do in Virginia over the next little bit. I don't know, Tom. Again, by being from New York, I've forgotten that part of it. I was thinking you were sailing out of Port Canaveral or Miami or Port Everglades. That's a good point. I don't know. The more I think about it, the less likely it is to sail out of New York. Would be my first thought. So, anyway, that's my thinking. We're just going to have to, like everything else, Tom, we got to sit back and wait. Jason's talking about Jim Walker. Yeah, Jason and I agree totally on Jim Walker. I don't know. A lot of people don't. A lot of people listen to him constantly. I just find that he's terribly negative to the cruise industry. Terribly, unfairly negative for somebody that's involved in the industry. Tom Henry says, I paid for Bruce and Jen to join us in a 2-bedroom suite on Mariner of the Seas in February. I hope he decides before I lose the funds and it's part of the cruise. Okay, that's cool. And again, I need to check back with. I still want to get Bruce on a show. I want to talk about stocks and travel and everything too. And now, Cruise Amigos, we're getting some numbers that are phenomenal. We did the show we did from Virginia with our 2 Scottish ladies, with Rona and when we talked about Edinburgh, a lot of you saw that. We had like 5,500 views of that chat. I mean, that's pretty substantial numbers, guys. That was great with Allison and Rona. Not all of the efforts that week were that kind of numbers, but we've had one that was 5,500. Now the Sunday show, we get those kind of numbers almost every week, somewhere in that vicinity. So yeah, now even though Bruce is still way bigger than I am, we get substantial numbers that it can help him as well. So anyway, so I'm going to talk to him, see if we can get him over here. All right, guys, that's he got me for 45 minutes today. My voice is starting to go, so I'm going to call it quits. We'll be back on Saturday, of course. And then, of course, if anything happens between now and then, major, I will either go live or get a video up. I've got a couple of videos that I've been working on, so there'll be continuing flow of videos. Will keep coming. So, and as always, folks, if you are new to this channel, hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe down there in the lower right-hand corner. We do travel and cruise industry news every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. We always appreciate thumbs up to everything we do. That lets YouTube know that you guys are actually out there watching. And that's going to wrap me up for today. As always, folks, wear your masks. Stay home if you can. If you have to go out, socially distance, wash your hands, do all those things. Please listen to the health department folks and not politicians. And let's get ourselves all get healthy and better and back to normal so we can all start cruising again soon. So that's it for today. This is the old fat travel guy. You guys have a great day. I'll see you Saturday. No, I'll see you actually tomorrow on the Cruise Amigos Live from Virginia. And then we'll see you Saturday. So you guys have a great day. Later, y'all.
Thank you for watching today's Travel and Cruise Industry News. Join us every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern for another episode. Travel and Cruise Industry News is a production of Chillie's Cruises.